My mother and father bought the house down in Belcher Circle because they had me. And I lived there until I came here, as a matter of fact. And I went to the Belcher School, which doesn't exist anymore. And it was an old wooden school around the corner. And I could just walk there and back. And the one thing I do remember is the wonderful teachers that we had. So I got a very, very good education all the way through. When it was time to finish with the 6th grade, I moved up to the Cunningham School, which at that time was a middle school and was maybe open about two years or so. And again, I met more people from the town, because they had come from another elementary school. I felt the same thing about the teachers at the Cunningham as I felt about the Belcher School. Then, of course, we all met together up at Milton High School. Now, Milton High School, in whatever it was, I was graduated in 1944. When I got there, it looked old. When I came back after many years, it looked the same, which did say it would be a nice idea to have a new one. And I'm very happy to see that we do have it. But again, I had very, very good teachers there. My mother was a teacher. She read about what John Simmons said about having a school for women. And she was very much taken by what Simmons was doing in terms of women. So she told me when I was very little that that would be the school I would go to. Well, I didn't have any idea, of course, at the time, except that it would be a good idea to do as your mother says, I guess. And it had a green roof, and it still does. So I told all my little friends, I am going to go to the college in town that has a green roof. And since my mother told me to go there, I did go. And it was the same situation there, that we had a lot of good teachers. And and I didn't, that was not where I was headed. My mother never said anything about teaching. But I knew what good teaching was. And when I was through with my undergraduate years, I was graduated from there in 1948, I did get a job in the laboratory. I had majored in biology and chemistry. I didn't like it at all. There weren't enough people around. And so I came home and complained. And so my mother said, well, what do you think you want to do? And so I just said, I think I want to be a teacher. I got my first job teaching at what is now Colby Sawyer. It's a small school, and there's a lot that you can get out of a smaller place. I think, and this is also because of my mother and father, I understood that everybody who worked there had a real purpose to be there. So while I was there for 10 years, I did go to the University of Vermont, and I got a master's degree in microbiology and immunology. And I came back to teach again at Colby, which is Colby Sawyer right now. But I realized I wanted something a little different. So I applied for a National Science Foundation. Now, the Sputnik had just gone up recently, and this brought everybody's attention to the necessity to have more science teachers and teachers who have a very good background. So I won. I would think I was the only one from a junior college who got money from Washington to work on my PhD, which I did go forward and do. Didn't see as many good teachers as I had seen in the past. But this put me in a position to be able to move forward. And at the end of, I went back to Colby for a year and then decided I wanted something else, so I went down to Simmons again. And I knew the man who was the chairman of the biology department, and after we talked for a few minutes, he hired me. And so I went teaching at Simmons for 35 years. And I was very successful there, to be perfectly frank, in terms of my own teaching. I became a dean. The last 17 years I was there, I was the dean of sciences. But I always taught. And one of the, not just because I liked teaching, and I did, and loved working with the students, I thought if you're going to be an administrator, you should be doing what the people you're working with do too. So that when someone came in and said, I think the students have changed, I would probably say to them, that's what everybody thinks along the way, but they honestly haven't changed much. And I have a thing about when it's time to retire, go. You need new people coming in with new ideas. And one of the things I did do when I was still working was I did do a lot of volunteer work in Milton. And I enjoyed it all because I met a whole pile of people whom I still consider friends. And the more I looked around, the more I saw about how good Milton is. Foundation for Education came up, and I was just invited because they knew my name, to something about it. And I listened to it very carefully. And I thought there is something about this that I think I like, and I'll have to think more about it. That it was going to be a foundation. You weren't kidding me that this was not going to be a lot of work to do. But they finally did decide. I think Mary Grasser O'Neill may have brought this to their attention. And I thought it was a good idea. And one of the things that I also liked, having been on the Warren Committee, was that the purpose really is to be able to do things for the faculty and for the students over and above what the town gives to the schools for their support. And I believe that they have adhered to that. And I believe that's been very important. It's been important in terms of the wonderful things that we've seen done and the enthusiasm of the people who do work with the foundation. It was a good idea, and it's been brought to life is really what it has been. And every year when they have their big thing and they tell about what they've done, I get more pleased. And when I meet some of the people who are working with them, I get even better pleased. So it was the right thing to do.